Chapter 2 House Arrest. Wow, I whispered. How much is there? Simon counted the bills. $1,000, he told me. Then he looked down the street. Those two guys in the cars must have dropped it. But it's ours now, right? I asked. We found it, right? I don't know, replied Simon. We'll have to go to the police. I grabbed the money from his hand. We can't go to the police, I whispered. We can't tell anybody about we're out this late. Just then we heard another car. Without even saying a word, Simon and I jumped behind a tree. The car kept going, so Simon and I crept out of hiding. Come on, said Simon. Let's get out of here. I shoved the money into my pocket. We hurried home, keeping to the bushes and fences, just in case the yellow car came back. When we got to Simon's backyard, all of his house lights were on. My parents and Simon's were standing by the bat house. Don't tell them about going to the park, I hissed at Simon. Not a word about the cars or the money, okay? Simon nodded. And then we were ready. As soon as we got in the yard, both sets of parents were all over us. You too, my mom started. She was so mad that she began to choke up. My dad joined in. You two idiots! You two little... Then my dad stopped and got choked up like my mom. Simon's parents took over. We didn't know what to think. How could you? We trusted you. We didn't do anything, I told them all. We were just, goofing off. Goofing off, said Simon's mom. Goofing off! Our parents kept yelling as they dragged us to our homes. Back home, I told my parents that Simon and I couldn't sleep. I said we just went out hopping fences. I sure hoped Simon told his parents the same thing. I mean, what if he said we were hungry? What if he said we went to the all-night pizza place? As soon as I was alone in my room, I took out the money and counting the bills again. Yep, Simon was right. There were 10 $100 bills. I'd never seen a $100 bill before, much less 10 of them. $1,000. I started thinking about what I could do with so much money. Buy a new Nintendo system for sure. Man, I really needed to talk to Simon. But the next day, I had to stay in my room. My folks wouldn't even let me call Simon on the phone. Think things over, said my dad. And clean up your room, said my mother. Great way to spend the last day of summer vacation. So I sat there, listening to some music. I shoved some clothes out of the way and threw some stuff into a box. Then I took the wad of cash out from under my bed and counted again. Simon, buddy, what are we going to do? Then I had a good idea. First, I shoved the money into my desk. It was pretty messy in there. Paper, gum wrappers, lots of junk. Then I opened my window and hissed at my sister. Ellen, come up here. I need you. Ellen was playing out in the wading pool in our backyard. What do you want? She yelled. It was her bratty little sister voice. Shh, just come up. Ellen jumped out of the wading pool and came inside. She was dripping wet. Great. She'd leave a trail of water all the way up to my room. I opened my door and pulled her inside. You have to take a note to Simon. You're not allowed to talk to Simon, Ellen whined. Mom said. I made a face. Mom said I couldn't talk to Simon. She didn't say I couldn't write to him. Ellen made a face back at me. Pay me or I'll tell. So I agreed to pay her $1. I had already written the note. It was in bath code. Simon and I made up the code 4 years ago when we started our club. I used to know how to write it fast, but now I needed some help, so I wrote out all the vowels like this, A, E, I, O, U, Y. Then, under them, I wrote out all the vowels backwards, so it looked like this, A for Y, E for U, I for O for I, U for E, Y for A. And then I wrote my note to Simon, changing all the vowels, top to bottom. Simon's name came out Somin. My name is Sam, so it comes out Sim. Get it? But then Simon and I made the code a little bit harder. We wrote everything backwards. So Simon became Nimus, Sam comes out Miss. I tell you, we use this code a lot to send notes in school. Even if our teacher caught the note, we could never figure it out. Nimas, which means Simon, stuck in my room, no escape, no TV. What about money? Sam. Pretty soon, Ellen was back. Here's a note for you, Ellen said. I made Simon pay me $1 too. Miss, which means Sam, me too. I'm reading a book. Hide money, Simon. A book? That was just like Simon. He didn't even mind being stuck in his room. It gave him lots of time to read. Why read when you can be out having a good time, I say. So I sent another note back to Simon. Nimas. 8:30. Miss. Simon, hid money. Meet me tomorrow at 8:30. Sam. It cost me another $1. Simon's reply said, Aki. And Ellen made him pay again. Then my mother knocked on my door. I don't know why she bothered to knock because she just barged right in. What's going on with you and Simon? What's with all these strange notes? Are you two up to something? How'd you find out? I asked. Ellen told me. Ellen, but I paid her, I said, angry as anything. Tell Ellen I'm going to kill her. Sam answered my question. You won't let me talk to Simon, so I had to send a note. We're just making plans to walk to school tomorrow. My mom looked around the room. When are you going to clean up this place? She asked. I looked around my room too. I did clean up. My mom rolled her eyes. Sam, clean up this room or you'll stay in here until you do. Then she left and slammed the door. So I cleaned up my room even more. I picked up my clothes off the floor. I put some in my closet and threw some in the garbage. I emptied my knapsack. Then I found my lunch from the last day of school. It wasn't looking too good. I went under my bed for candy wrappers and pop bottles. Then I found a book I told my parents I'd lost. They paid the school for it, and here it was, The Mystery of the Missing Money. Then I sat down on my bed and stared at the wall. I thought about those guys we saw last night. I knew they'd really steam when they found out they'd lost their money. I wondered if they had seen us, and all that made me a little nervous.